Hey, what's up, guys? Evan Zamwaldi here, and today I'm going to show you a concept that I think will be extremely helpful for you, and I think you're gonna love it. And so it's a concept that I learned from a guy named Myron Golden, and he is a guy who he's made probably 10 million in business, and he's an awesome guy. So if you don't know who he is, check it out. You should check him out in general. But this is a concept I learned from him, and it's an amazing concept. So there's generally um, every number has a meaning, right? And the number four is the number of the earth. So there's obviously four directions: north, south, east, west. There's four seasons. There's right summer, fall, winter, spring, and oftentimes you'll find that a lot of the principles that work here on earth, like as it relates to making money, as it relates to whatever it might be, has usually comes in fours. And so today I'm going to show you this concept, essentially the four levels of value and how you can essentially create any result that you desire in life, simply using this framework. And this framework is going to show you not only where you're at currently, based upon what you do and how much money you're making, but then also how to jump to the next level. And I'm going to show you how to go all the way up to making $1 billion, even though I haven't done so. The people who have, people like Walt Disney, people like Bill Gates, I'm going to give some examples, have already done it. And so give me a break. I'm young. I'm 24 years old. I've done a lot more than most my age as it relates to creating a result, but obviously I'm not a billionaire. So um, but these are the same concepts that they use as well, and I'll explain that. So this will tell you essentially how to go from, you know, broke as a joke, stuck like Chuck in a pickup truck to, balling essentially, whatever that is for you. And so, like I said, I'm going to show you where you're at and where, you know, if you, depending on your goals, what you have to do in order to get there in the quickest amount of time. So, with that being said, let's jump right into it. Cool. So, I already went over this. So, the first thing I'm going to show you guys essentially how to manifest. That's the main word here. Manifest any goal you have in life. So, first thing you have to understand is when I'm talking about manifestation, I'm talking about producing a result. So, um, that result could be anything that you want, right? The result could be, hey, I want to make 10 grand. The result could be, um, you know, so the first thing you have to understand is that people only pay for results. So people only pay for results. So like if you're a dentist, for example, and someone pays you, right? They don't pay you because you're a dentist. They pay you because you stopped making their teeth hurt, right? Or their tooth hurt. And so essentially you get paid to bring them the result of, you know, satisfaction or just being comfortable again, right? Being able to eat, being able to, not have to worry about your mouth and your teeth and all that stuff. So they basically pay you for a result. They pay you to make them stop make the pain stop essentially. And that is valuable to the marketplace. And so then you have to ask yourself, okay, so now I'm knowing that, okay, results are what people pay for. So how do I get more people to pay me for some sort of result? Well, you need to be able to add value to that person. The reason why dentists get paid a lot of money is because they have a lot of value because they have right gone through like 8 years of schooling, taken many tests. They had to open up their own practice. And not only do they have to be really good at being a dentist, but funny enough, they have to be really good at business. Not that you trust them because they have a good business. Oftentimes, that is part of it as well. But the biggest part is that they went to school to learn about the mouth, and you want somebody who is in there digging into your mouth and drilling holes in your mouth to actually know what they're doing. And so they have a lot of value to provide because they're able to stop your tooth from hurting, and that is what you pay for in return, right? Is for comfort, and you pay for a painkiller essentially. And so what you want to do, so you say theoretically, right? If I'm able to bring in for somebody else a result very, 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 very many times across a number of different people, theoretically, you'll never have to worry about money again, correct? And that is exactly what happens when you're able to create enough value in the marketplace to essentially help you to um, make the money that you're looking to make, and it helps other people do the same as well. And this is the same thing, right? If you want to give to charities, if you want to, buy a house for your mom and dad, if you want to buy them a car, if you want to buy yourself the car of your dreams, if you want to, go on vacation a lot, if you want to have amazing vacations, you want an amazing life, right? You have to figure out how to create more of this so it creates more of this. But first, it starts with value. You got to become more valuable. A dentist only can get this right here, which is what everybody's focused on, is the money, the end result. But dentists had to go through 8 years of building themselves, and probably a little bit more than that, to get this, right? They had to have a successful business. And then more people started giving them money because more people started going to them because they were bringing a what? A result. So you have to figure out, okay, how can I become more valuable? Well, luckily, you are in the right place. And I also want to mention that, a lot of people will say, they don't really care about money. Money's not important to them. Um, Money doesn't really matter. But that's really a misnomer because most people spend the majority of their waking life working. And so you wouldn't spend the majority of your life doing something that you do not care about. Now you may hate it, but you have to do it anyways, right? And you don't want to resent the struggles, and you don't want to resent the struggles of life because it ends up getting you nowhere. And so just I would submit to you, if you're that person, it's okay if you're that person. I was that person at one point too. Just realize that um that number one does not serve you whatsoever. You will never move up in the world with that sort of mindset. And number two, money does matter because money answers almost everything. Okay. And so, um, if somebody doesn't listen to your advice, it's because you're not successful. People resent, um, they resent or they will despise a poor man's wisdom. Just understand that. So you sort of have to have success in order for people, if you want to have the impact that you'd like, if you want to feel importance as a man, right? If you want to feel more importance as a woman other than your body, and how pretty you are, this is how you do it, right? People will listen if you've made 10,000, you've made more money than anybody in the room and everybody knows it. You are different, right? Because you're a valuable person. People will listen. Money answers almost everything. So that being said, I'm going to break another belief. Time, and if it hasn't been broken already, time is infinitely more valuable than money. And I submit to you, you hear a bunch of people on the internet talking about how I'm a self-made millionaire, I'm self-made this, I'm self-made that. There is not a single person on this planet who is self-made. They always had a team, they had help, and they had people that would buy into the mission. They had people who would help them along the way. But they couldn't do that without first understanding that time is infinitely more valuable than money. Okay. And so I'm going to teach you today how to get back more of your time and how to get back more of your money and be able to control your money, not make back more of your money, but make back your time, right? Redeem your time, take it back, and also improve your opportunity so you can make more money and therefore have more control over your life. So, with that being said, let's dive into, okay, I know I need to become more valuable. Now, I'm going to show you the 4 levels of value. You can see exactly where you're at and where you would need to go in order to create that next result in your life, whatever that is. Okay. So let's get into it. So, first, I just want to get a baseline on what the word manifestation actually means, or at least in um, the context of what we're going to be talking about. So, manifestation is basically, the word means to create something or turn something from an idea into reality. So, it's literally you take something that is invincible, right? Happen in your head, like this, even this hat that I'm wearing right now did not exist at some point. So, this was an idea in somebody's head. And so they grabbed it from the invisible and brought it into the physical, right? That is what manifestation is. Just to be clear, a lot of people will say, you know, you can, create nothing out, everything, or you can create something out of nothing. No, you cannot. We are creators, right? Or we are creators, and so we're not people who are literally, we're not the creator, if that makes sense. Like we can't I can't think of $1 million and get it right now. I can't think of something, but I can create something from another thing. So I can, like, obviously create, um we everything that we've ever gotten has come from this earth. So we can't create nothing out of literally create something out of nothing, because that's literally impossible for us. Just to That was absolutely free. Just to give you a preface, but doesn't necessarily have anything to do with what we're talking about, but just a side note. So the word manifestation literally means to create something, turn something from an idea into reality. And so I'm going to show you, how you can manifest the results that you want. So we have to first, right, put manifest value results. Don't worry about that stuff yet. So here is, I drew this little ladder type thing. So the first level of value is down here. So here's you. This is called implementation. So the people who are implementing a thing are the people who get paid the least, because it's the thing we value the least as human beings. So if you go into a restaurant, for example, the person who is washing the dishes is probably never the owner, right? Because it's not valuable to the business owner to do that. So he just pays somebody like, $13 an hour to essentially wash dishes. And so this is where I was at for a long time, from the moment I was, 17 years old until, pretty much, um 20, 21 years old. This is what I did. So about 3 or 4 years, all I did was implementation. I worked a lot of jobs. I worked, um, I worked in a manufacturer's plant. So I just would create Ford engine blocks. And, I've been a grocery store guy. I mean, just a ton of things. I mean, I was the epitome of the worst worker ever. So, I just put a McDonald's hat on this because I thought it was funny. But, McDonald's worker would be a good example of somebody who's an implementer. Um, Now, the next level is something called unification. This is where managers reside. They have the ability to lead teams, and they have the ability to influence the teams to do a certain task so that it makes the company more money. So, so example, if you're a unificator, if you're a manager, usually you will make more money than the person implementing, right? So, why? Because team building, as it pertains to a company, is super important, because you have to put people together who complement each other. And um, implementers, they can make around 50 grand a year at best. Unificators can make, at best, or around 100K a year or under. And then the next level, okay, is something called communication. This is the second highest level of value. And when you move to this step, um, you're going to start making some significant. This is where I made the biggest jump in my life. This is where I started making a significant amount of money. You can make 6 figures plus. You could, even be making 7 figures or even 8 figures. And this is by far the easiest way to get into the high levels of income. Okay, so like I'll give you some examples of people who are in this area. People like Oprah Winfrey, people like Tony Robbins, people like, you know, um, anybody, Andrew Tate, um, Justin Bieber, Post Malone, Led Zeppelin. I'm trying to hit every demographic here. But essentially anybody who uses their voice to make money is somebody who's a communicator, right? These are talking heads. They're people who, news anchors, people who write movies, people who write books, people in the movies, right? The actors. Actors are communicators. They're communicating a message of the story, right? That is a skill. They've mastered the skill of communication, right? So these people operate at the second highest level of value in the world. These are some of the top income earners in the world. And there are also people who become billionaires just at this level of value. Like Oprah Winfrey is a great example. Oprah Winfrey is a communicator, right? So she's also the next level as well. But she had to be a great communicator in order to get to the next level of value, right? So there's a lot of billionaires, Tony Robbins being one of them as well. He still communicates to this day. So communication really to me, in my mind, is a focal point. So when you get good at communicating, taking ideas out of your mind and putting them in other people's minds and giving them the thoughts and the clarity, you use to, you use your words essentially to paint a picture in other people's minds, and you can manifest anything you really want because you can deliver value and you have a way of expressing that so that people will say, yes, I want that thing. And so communication is the second highest level of value, and when you learn to operate in here, you can learn to multiply your income. So one of the best places to learn to operate at this communication level is in selling and learning to sell. I believe that selling is an incredible field that has many opportunities, but most people just simply do not like it. That's the reality of it. Most people really don't like selling. In fact, I would go as far to say that many people hate it. And most people, when they think about it, it makes them feel yucky. And the reason that, we've been programmed that way is because the matrix, whatever you want to call it, has sort of programmed us to hate it. Why? Because it's in our own best interest, right? And if we begin to learn to sell, we begin to learn to love to sell, then we can pretty much write our own ticket, right? We can pretty much name our price. We'll never be out of work. As a salesperson, you're never out of work. Good salespeople are very hard to find, right? So selling is one of the highest form of value, adding ability in the world is the ability to sell. And I want you to think about that when, you think about selling. You don't like it generally, but if you don't, it's simply because you're only reacting to the programming and the ideas that other people put in your mind, right? And put in your head. The fact is, I'll give you some things to think about. Um, so if you take out your wallet, right, and you grab a card, all of the money, or you grab your cash, whatever you have, all the money that you have ever gotten, if you're not currently selling, has come from somebody who sold something somewhere. So let's say you're a landscaper, for example, right? And you all you do is the actual landscaping in and of itself, right? You wake up and you're supposed to be at a place, right? They give you a place, they give you a time to be there, and you start working until it's done. And you get paid, let's just say $20 an hour. Okay, cool. Do you realize that somebody, probably the owner of the store, right, had to, or maybe a manager of some sort, had to sell that person into actually doing the job in and of itself? The same thing is true with McDonald's. You say, you know what? No, Evan, you know, um, no, I never had to sell anything. Like I get paid, McDonald's never had to sell anything, right? The person at McDonald's Incorporated had to sell somebody into creating that location that you work at right now so that you could have a job and take orders at McDonald's, right? Sales is everywhere. And it's the thing that will take your life to the next level. Um, it's the thing that took my life from the next level. Like I'd never made more than $3,000 a month, which is under never made more than 40 grand a year. And when I jumped into the communication area of value, that is when, and especially getting into the right vehicle, right? Because there's a lot of communication. There's a lot of places like if you go work logistics, you can make a lot of money in logistics, but it is quite a matured industry. But like I'll just speak from experience. The first year in logistics, because I did work at a logistics company in sales. You would not make even close to 100 grand until like 2 years later, 3 years later, 4 years later, where when I was put in the right vehicle, I started making, I was pacing towards six figure. I started making six figures literally 4 months and 3, 4 months into it. Right. And I made way more in the first month than I would have made at the logistics company in 2 or 3. So just for context. So communication, I should preface this, in the right vehicle is the best, right? So now that is the bigger part. But my point is with anybody that is wanting to create a life that yourself and your family could only dream about, that is something that you will get in the communication aspect. You're not going to get that dream life being an implementer. Um, you know, and you might say like there's only some people that will go from implementation right? And make more than a communicator. Like, for example, professional athletes are implementers, but they also have to be the best players, have to be unifiers and good communicators. Take, Mike LeBron James, Michael Jordan, any of the top dogs in the NBA, or, Tom Brady, or whatever sport you like, Messi, right? These guys have to not only be really good at soccer or really good at their sport, be really good at their craft, but they have to unify the team. They have to be a leader for the team, and they have to be able to communicate to their team the idea so they unify around them. And they also have to be able to communicate to the media and get other people, like the fans, to love them so that they will get more attention. Their team will get more attention than every other team because that'll help them make more money. It's also why a lot of people who like don't get to this level, which is most of the people in any pro sport, they're not good unifiers or communicators, or just good implementers. They'll make all this money at the implementation, they will blow it and become homeless, like Delonte West, right? So it's really important to understand, even if you quote unquote get lucky, or if you're somebody who, is in the right boat implementation wise, and you were blessed enough to receive, an amazing body to play sports, then you can still fall back there straight to the implementer and making 50 grand a year, right? And so, um, and by the way, when I was talking about the programming, I'm just reminded by my notes here. When I was talking about the programming, um, the programming can come from a multitude of places, whether it's your parents, the government, whatever, the media, whatever power that you'd like to say. But they have assigned this evil identity to the concept of selling. So what we have to do is realize that selling is really what makes the world go round economically. So if you reach into your pocket, right, like I said before, you reach out money, that money came from somebody somewhere who sold something to someone, right? Um, and so your job would not exist without salespeople. Period. If all the salespeople in the world went on strike, the whole economy would shut down. So, you know, so essentially, I would recommend for anybody, if they want to jump to the higher, this is where you make 100 grand plus. You would do communication. And the bad thing about selling, I think a part of it is like, when people think about selling, most people, when they think about it, they think about talking someone into buying something that they don't want, don't need, and can't afford. That's not selling. I like to identify selling like this. So selling is uncovering the value of what I have to offer so well that people are happy to exchange the money they have in their pocket for the value that I've revealed, right? So when you think of, and people buy stuff all the time, like when you think of, if your tooth is hurting really bad, you go to the dentist, you're happy to give them money because you're in so much pain, right? So if you're able to do the same thing for somebody, let's say, as it relates to their finances, and you have a lot of value to provide as it relates to that, like maybe you help people invest in the stock market, you help people to, create a business or something along those lines, right? You're able, and you've actually done those things. That's the most important part. You've actually done those things. You're not just like, spitting, uh, not spitting, but being dishonest. Then you're able to, you know, you're able to make as much money as you want theoretically, because if people are happy to exchange the value or exchange the money they have in their pocket for the value revealed, just like you do when you go to the dentist, just like you do when you go to a restaurant on the weekend, or do whatever, that you do it happily. And so people will do it happily in any transaction as long as you do it correctly. And so when you get good at uncovering the value, then you are at the right place at the right time, and now you have the skill that makes the world go round. Because none of us would ever have any money in our pockets whatsoever if somebody somewhere hadn't sold something to someone. Now, um, I believe you must learn how to sell in order to level up in life. Because I've done it, and it's just a thing that's worked for me. I haven't met very many people who haven't had to learn this skill that are very successful. Um, so, anyways, the next one is imagination. So, imagination is something that Bill Gates is an imaginator, for example, right? Bill Gates is somebody that went from um, literally nothing at like 18, 19 years old to essentially billionaire, like not even that long after. So imagination, you're probably thinking, come on, man, like that can't be true. Do you remember when you were in what you used to probably get in trouble with in school, elementary school especially? I don't know if you ever got in trouble with this, but I know I got in trouble for it pretty much all throughout school. You got in trouble for daydreaming. You know, why are you daydreaming? They'll embarrass you in front of the class and they'll call you out your name. I remember vividly one of my high school teachers doing that because I'd just be daydreaming because I'm so bored of what we're learning. It doesn't have anything to do with anything. And they'd be like, Evan, you good? Okay. You know, and it's just like, daydreaming is one of the most powerful things you could ever do. Okay. This is where the magic happens. It's where amazing things take place because if you think about it, are there limits to implementation? Yes, there's only so many hours a day you can work, right? Are there limits to unification, right? Are there going to be some people sometimes who just cannot work together in a team, right? Are there like, for example, Kobe and Shaq, right? They did awesome together and then they dropped off, right? Um, there's just some people, and even at your work, you probably relate this to your own place. There's just some people who will not get along. So there are limits to unification, right? Are there limits to communication? Yes. Even if they're, even if there's nothing more than a language barrier, right? But in imagination, there are no limits whatsoever. Okay. So this is the highest level of value, and people create value, and they could create value in this level. They make billions with a B. So these are people who conjure up ideas and get other people to communicate those ideas, right? And unify teams and implementers to implement those ideas. And these are people, whoops, sorry. These are people who are able to, um, they operate with all three of these things. Okay, you can't just jump straight from imagination from implementation. It doesn't happen because you're not going to be able to unify the people that you need to unify in order to get this done, right? You're not going to be able to get the communicators to communicate this message to the unifiers or implementation because you're not able to communicate it yourself well enough in a way that would get them to buy into it the way that they should, right? And so these are people who, have an idea, and these people go out and they sell it to investors, and they take the company public and sell it back to all of us, and they become billionaires. So this is where Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, all these people in the world operate from. And if you think about Bill Gates, right, you know, one of the wealthiest men in the world, how did he get here? Right? So he got here by his imagination because there was a guy who implemented a software called the disk operating system. Bill Gates didn't invent the disk operating system. He found the guy who invented the software and bought it from him for $50,000. And by the way, Bill Gates bought it with $50,000 that he didn't even have. Bill Gates bought it from his friend Paul Allen. Paul Allen has part ownership in the company because he gave Bill Gates the money that Bill Gates did not have to set this in forward. And guess what? Bill Gates had to communicate that message, sell it to the investors, and the investors gave him the money, which gave him, able to buy the implementation, aka the invention. And then they were able to take it from where it is today, right? It's Microsoft, huge company. So he sold Paul Allen the idea, gave him 50,000 so he could buy the person's implementation. When he bought the implementation of the disk operating system, he refused to sell it to anybody and agreed to license it to everyone and became the wealthiest man in the world. At one point, you know, he was just literally these disk operating systems, they cost 10 cents. So it's called Microsoft Windows, right? But it was later developed to be that. But essentially, he probably bought his disc, if I had to guess, for 10 cents and sold it for $400. So if you can sell something for 10 cents and make $400, then you can create wealth with your imagination. Um, so so essentially, what you have to do is go from one step to the next, right? Like I said, you can't just jump from implementation to imagination. It just never works. It never will. You have to be good at implementation, have to be good at unification, communication, and then you can use your imagination to start making, billions with a B. Here's the other thing. The cool thing is this. If you say, you know what, Evan, I'm an implementer, I make, not that much money. Maybe you're doing better than most, right? Maybe you're past 50 grand, but you're definitely not at like 100 or 200. How do I get to communication? Right? It must mean I have to become a manager first. this is the really cool part about this little step ladder here is this. You can learn both of these in one step. And I'll tell you how. Everybody who's a great implementer isn't always a great unificator. They're not a great unifier, right? Have you ever had a bad manager? Probably. Have you ever had, um, like especially if you have a bad manager, maybe the meeting that you guys have goes wrong. Everybody starts behind their back, starts talking crap, and then it kills the production of the day. Because guess what? This guy ticked everybody off. He said the wrong things. He was a bad communicator. You can learn both of these in one shot because communicate unification needs communication to work at its best, right? Communication, right? You learn the skill of communication. You can communicate to the unifiers how to get better in general, right? You can be better yourself and unify a team. You can unify the implementers. Communicators can do it all. Communicators are usually the top dogs in the company. They're usually like if you have the opportunity to meet a CEO of a company, right, that are doing really, really well, it is because they are they're able to communicate really well, and that's why they have this huge company, is because they communicated to the unifiers, and then the unifiers, right, they did their thing, and they started communicating to the implementers and gathering everybody up for an aligned mission, an aligned goal, right? And so if you're able to um, communicate a message um, to help people get to where they want to go, and you'll be able to um, you'll be able to go. Sorry, guys, I'm a little off track. My dog's going nuts because the mailman. Give me a second. Appreciate you guys' patience with me there. I was completely losing track because my dog's going nuts outside. So thank God he's gone. But um, your fastest path to more cash is to be improving your ability to communicate, and especially improving your ability to sell. And so you're probably wondering at this point, you're like, well, Evan, this sounds good, but I don't have any value to deliver to people in the form of results, right? Therefore, I don't think I'd be able to start making six figures plus. I feel stuck in the implementation level of value. What do I do? It's not uncommon. Um, and this is actually what I do. Other people, the crazy thing is this, other people are already delivering results to someone, right? And they are in need of someone just like you to help them uncover the value of what they have to offer so that they can make money, which in turn makes you money, right? So by helping them, they will pay you a percentage of said money. So I'll give you more on this math at the end, but basically just so you understand this, right? If you're able to bring a result to someone, let's say you're able to bring a result of $10,000 a month to somebody, or let's say you're able to make, yeah, we'll just use that example, $10,000 a month. How much could you theoretically, do you think, sell for that? Well, I'll give you a good example. So if you're able to help people make $100,000 a year, right? This is how much it's worth right here. You can see my hands. This is how much value I have to offer, right? And you want to know what the secret to selling is? It's this: 100 grand a year, and it only costs a tenth of the price, right? So if I could show you how to make 100 grand a year, but it only costs this much, pretty easy to sell someone something like that, correct? Like let's say, right, it's 100 grand. I'm going to teach you how to make 100 grand, and I guarantee it, you'll make 100 grand, right? And then I only sell it for 10. Then guess what? That's a good deal. You're like, man, I could probably, like I could probably do that. Or let's say it's even 7 grand, 8 grand, right? So that is a good deal, right? Especially if you do it in a manner that is framing it um, in the way that it needs to be framed in order to uncover the value of what you have to offer so well to that person. So I'll give you another example to show you how you can make even more money, right? If you can teach people how to make 100 grand in a month, which just might sound crazy to you, 100 grand in a month, like how, dude, that's never gonna happen. There are plenty of people who do it, and I know some of them. So 100 grand a month, if you can teach somebody how to make 100 grand a month, right? That's how much money this is, 100 grand a month, and guess how much you charge for it? 10 grand a month. There's somebody named Alex Hormozy who did this. His gym launch program, he teaches you how to make 100 to $1 million a month in a gym business, right? To make a bunch of money, 100,000 to a million a month. And he charges you $10,000 a month to be in his program. So he teaches you how to make 100 grand a month. You pay him 100 grand a year. That's all you have to do. He only gets a tenth of it. That sounds like a pretty good deal, right? And so now, if you don't have any value because you're in the implementation stage, you probably don't have much value to offer to someone in the first place. And so, and especially not enough to make you jump to the high income levels. Like you could always go work for, let's say, for example, you're like, I want to start my own gym business and I want, because I'm fit. Um, Highly competitive, by the way. Um, but I would recommend getting into a different industry simply because, right, it matters what boat you're in, which I was talking about earlier. It matters what boat you're in, and I'll get into that a little later. But you would basically work for people, right? Like of the people who are providing the most value at the moment. So people like Tony Robbins, Jordan Belfort, you probably know him better for Wolf of Wall Street, throwing the money off the yacht. People like Grant Cardone, these are all guys that um, provide value in return for more money. And so these people need somebody to sell something to. And I sold for an influencer, not nearly as big as these guys, right? And I started working for this guy named John, and just 3 months into selling for an influencer, right? I was making just shy of 15K a month. So here's my paychecks right here. So if you're able to, so the coolest thing is this, all while, so I did this all while having flexibility in my work schedule, taking my time back. I was being completely remote. And by the way, when I say taking your time back, what does that actually look like? I set my own schedule. If I want to work, let's say from 8 to 3, and then the next day I decide I want to work 8 to 5, 8 to 6, and then the next day, you know what, I want to be off a little early. I'll work 8 to 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Maybe I want to wake up later and I'm like, I'm gonna start working at 10 a.m. and and then be done with work at, I only want to take a few calls a day. You can do that in this. Like you can do that. That's what I mean by taking your time back. You're obviously still gonna have to work because you're still technically um somebody's employee, right? But like they don't as long as you're doing your job, you're doing a good job, they're not going to care what you do. You need to do your schedule a few days in advance. So you take your time back, right? You do it while being completely remote. It's great for traveling. You are a part of a growth oriented culture, right? I remember when I was working in a manufacturer business, like it's one of the and I love the guys that were there. It's just one of the worst environments ever. These people don't have any goals. They're people that are usually fat, broke, and not that smart. And so it's just because they don't have to be to make money, right? And so they stop growing. And so you're going to be a part of a growth oriented culture, and you're going to be selling something that you can genuinely get behind and actually helps people. Most importantly, you will be developing the number one highest value skill in this digital economy. And once mastered, you'll never have to worry about money again. Like I said, it writes your own ticket, and you won't have to worry about, hey, if I get fired from this job for whatever reason, or if let's say I don't like it, what am I going to do? Like there's, not a lot of opportunity out there. Trust me, everybody needs more salespeople. Everybody does, and it's the most valuable thing to a company. So here's why you shouldn't do high ticket all on your own. Let's say you're like Evan, I'm somebody that honestly doesn't. I don't know if need you necessarily or need anybody. I might just go, start applying to work with some of these companies. Here's the reality. High level entrepreneurs don't have the time to invest in you to learn a skill. It can take months if they were to teach you, which is taking them away from making more money because they could be working on different aspects of the business that would help the salespeople, ironically, right? And so, which is why these entrepreneurs go to sales training and recruitment companies like mine to help them scale their business, because if they know they can rely on a guy like me, Evan, to create good, amazing A-player type salespeople to start taking their phone calls whenever they need it. And these are not cold calls; these are warm calls. They already have phone calls, right? If they can rely on me, they are more than happy to pay a company like mine in order for them to scale up whenever they would like. And so entrepreneurs, they just simply buy their time back just like they should. And so I also was talking about boats before. Um, you know, and when I say boat, I also mean vehicle. It's the same thing. Just, there's a famous, I get the boat analogy from Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett says he had a friend in college that they were just alike. They were awesome students. They were great friends throughout college. And he went and worked in the steel industry. And then Warren Buffett obviously went and built, Berkshire and Hathaway. And he said that's when he realized that it's not about how hard you row, it's about what boat you're in. And so I'm trying to get you in the right boat or the right vehicle, however you want to think of it. I want to make sure you're in the right boat that is able to get you down the stream quicker than you having to row really hard, because you really don't have to row that hard if you're in the right vehicle. It's actually easier the better vehicle you're in. And so we're trying to make you like Ricky Bobby, um, driving the Wondermobile, and we don't want you to be, driving being Ricky Bobby driving one of these. And that happens a lot. That was me. I worked for very many offers. I was in the wrong boat for a long time. And it's not as easy to the eye as seeing literally a junk car. Um, there's a lot of experience, there's a lot of things that you have to know. And thank God I messed up and I got in the right boat as quickly as I did in about 4 or 5 years. I'm going to help you to do that within 3 to 4 months. And so, what's I think is ironic, most entrepreneurs are obsessed with finding talent, but the sales talent and of themselves, the people who are going from implementers to wanting to be a communicator, they don't obsess over finding the right vehicle most of the time because they just don't have the network and resources to know one when they see one. They just don't have that wisdom because they just don't know what they don't know. And so this is a problem because you could have all the right training and be an awesome sales talent, but if you're in the wrong vehicle, it really won't matter. You're not going to drive that quickly. You're not going to get to where you want to go all that fast. And so that's part of my job, is just helping you get in the right vehicle, helping you get in the right boat. Make sure you're driving one of those great, Bugattis instead of Honda Civic. And so just a preface, this is the things that are wrong with bad vehicles. They don't put sales reps in the best position to win, and they usually expect too much from their closer, which can lead to killing a sales rep's identity. And it makes it more difficult for them to reach their goal, which is that's what I just explained. So, whoa, jeez, it's going nuts. All right, so you could technically jump into high ticket all on your own. Um, and apply, but just a few things to watch out for. You can waste your time selling an offer that isn't proven. So let's say, you know what, you like everything that I'm saying, but you're like, I don't know if necessarily I want to um I don't want to pay a company like yours. I don't want Evan's help. I don't want anybody's help. I'll jump into it. I think I have enough information. Everything on the internet is free, which it is. You can get all the information I'm telling you on the internet right now. But it's scattered all over the place. You're not going to get there as quickly as you would like. I promise you that. I try to do that for the longest time, and it's really not worth it. But um, you're like, you know what? I think I'll just do this on my own. Here's something to watch out for. Um, People of the offers that are the quickest boats, they don't hire people who don't have sales experience. They don't hire people who haven't already been in the brand for that long. And if they do hire somebody, right, that may not have that experience, it's because they come from a company like mine and I vouch for them. Okay. So you can just oftentimes find yourself in an offer that you're just going to find to be a waste of time, effort, and energy, because they will use you as their guinea pig for an idea that they had. And these guys, honestly, most of the time, if they're not super successful, they have no idea what they're doing. And so it's common that you have to become a setter before a closer, which won't get you to your goals. And you're not guaranteed at bat if you're a setter. A setter is just somebody who sets appointments. A closer is the guy who just shows up for the phone call and helps people to get to where they want to go in life. But another thing is, some entrepreneurs won't allow you to set your own schedule. So all the amazing things that I mentioned before about taking control of your time, taking control of your income, taking control of your environment, All those things won't necessarily be present if you go and do it on your own. You won't find those things to be true, and then you're probably going to be like, "Oh, this was a scam," and then go on to something else and keep being an implementer. And I don't want that to happen for you. I want you to break through the matrix. I want you to break through and make a quantum leap in income as quick as possible, like how I did. And so, how I help you to minimize the risk, right, and get you in front of entrepreneurs that will help you to achieve your goals. So utilizing my network of entrepreneurs, I will help you to find opportunities that will help you to hit your goals quickest without having to sacrifice everything else in your life. So your flexibility, your income, your relationship, etc. You will also receive world-class training from me. I'm going to show you a testimonial real quick. There's a guy that I just placed for an example who now he just got guaranteed 70 he just got a guaranteed $70,000 a year, and on track earnings is 100 grand if he hits his commissions correctly, if he just does the stuff he's supposed to be doing. Let me find it real quick. I think this would be great for you guys to see. Appreciate you being patient. Give me 2 secs.
What up, guys? I did six-figure.
Amazing. Here it is. Check this out. This is Felix. I worked with him like 4 months ago, and he's awesome. He went from being broke as a joke, never making that much, so pretty much same thing as me, right? Never making that much money, and going from that to, having a job that guarantees 70 grand and will get him just shy of 100 grand a year.
What up, guys? I did six-figure remote closer around 4 months ago, and man, what a journey it's been. I first through six-figure remote closer, I landed my first job in high ticket sales, and that was around 7 to 8K a month, commission only job. And after doing that for a couple months, I now switched over to a new job where I'm getting 70K base, so 70K base salary guaranteed whether or not I close, and then the opportunity to earn an additional 3K in commissions, which is super sweet. I'm super stoked to land this new role. And man, if you guys are just on the fence about doing six-figure remote closer and working with Evan, I would just take the leap of faith. Just do it. There's so much opportunity in the sales world, and if you just invest in yourself, you put in the time, the energy, the effort to invest yourself, it is so worth it. Like, I'm so stoked right now. I have my dream job. Things are amazing, and I'm just grateful to have had the opportunity to work with Evan. And he was there with me every step of the way. Everything from teaching me the skill of sales, teaching me how to find these roles, how to land these roles. He was there with me every step of the way. And I'm just grateful to be in the position that I'm in. So if you guys are on the fence, do it. Evan will take care of you. And yeah, peace.
Awesome. I just thought that was relevant for what we were talking about, but I actually do this, and so here's the math of how you make money. If you're committed to this, right, you go through my training. I can place you where you can receive an average of 3 to 5 calls per day, 5 days per week. These are not cold calls, as I mentioned before. These are usually warm prospects that have already bought from that entrepreneur before. They're pre-qualified and they're pre-framed for what you'll be offering. What I mean by pre-framed is they'll already know what you have to, they're already sold into the idea essentially of doing what you have to do. They just need help sort of selling them into your product specifically. That's it, right? Just a little nudge over the fence. That's pretty much all they need. Minimum key performance indicator. So you'll need to perform at minimum of 20% closing ratio, which honestly is not that hard. And the average commission is 10 to 15% in cash, averaging about $500 to $700 per sale in your pocket. So a 10% commission and a 20% closing ratio, you'd sell 16 units with bonuses. You'd sit probably around 10 grand. Okay, so obviously you have to be committed, you have to work hard, and you have to train with us. This is not a get rich quick scheme. You're building a high value skill that will serve you for the rest of your life. The government can take your money, your spouse can too, but no one can take away your skills that will generate your financial freedom in any circumstance. That is power, right? And so, it just reminds me of a quote that I know. Reminds me of a quote, which is this: wisdom is more valuable than rubies. Just so you know, rubies are way more valuable than diamonds. right? Rubies are very hard to get a hold of, but wisdom is more valuable than rubies. And anything that you may desire cannot be compared to it. Wisdom is the thing that will give you the power that you're looking for. It's not the things that you get. It's the transformation that you have and the wisdom that you get along the way, that and the skills that you have along the way, that will help you to, feel that way, that power that you've been looking for. And so, I also want to teach you how to easily go find your position. I want to teach you how to fish, not just give you a fish. And at this point, I would like to, for anybody that, let's say you are somebody that's, you know, you're an implementer, you want to get to the next level. Maybe you're not even sure, like, yeah, I might want to do high ticket closing, or maybe you're not that sure. Um, there's no hurt in having a conversation about it, right? So like, this is something that I wish there was a program out there when I first started getting into, like when I was 17 years old, if there was a program like this, or 18 years old, or 19, or even when I was 20, right? I didn't get into this until I was in my late 21, right? I was about to turn 22. If I would have had this in the very beginning, dude, I would be so much further ahead. There was nothing like this when I was 17, 18, 19, even 20, 21 years old. Um, you already had to be good at sales. You had to sort of already have your own product. It was much harder to get into this industry than it is today. And so if you're somebody that even on the fence about maybe booking a call with me or one of my team members, if you're somebody that says, you know what, like, dude, I want to jump. I want to give my family the life of their dreams. I want to build myself the life of my dreams. I'll maybe want to give to the charities that I want to give to. I want to, not have to worry about money ever again. I want to be able to buy things and not look at the price of things. I want to be able to make somebody's day. I want to be able to, go on vacation more often. I want to be able to have more control of my time. This is for you. Okay. And this is something that can change your life. I'm not like, if I could go back to when I was 18 years old, and if I found something like this, I would do it 1,000%. It would not be a question. Do you know how quickly I would have gotten to where I wanted to go? I've been wanting to make 10 grand a month since I was 18, 17 years old. I started an Amazon FBA business when I first got into this entrepreneurial state or space, and it went awful, right? And I didn't make the money that I was supposed to make until I was 22, 20, like not the money I was supposed to make, but the money I was aiming to make until I was 22, 23 years old, because I happened to get in the way that everybody else got in prior to there ever being a program like this out here that would help you to actually do this. There was no such thing as a recruiting and training company that would actually place salespeople into the right boats, right? And that, there's never been this beautiful unison in business before, literally before the last maybe year. And so I want to help you with that. If that is something that, you're somebody that wants to make six figures pretty quickly, if you want to make that quantum leap from $3,000 a month to 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, even $15,000 a month, this is for you. Book a call. We'll talk about it, and we'll see if it works. And either way, like, we have free resources, and I want to help you out either way, right? Like, let's say it doesn't work out, we figure out it's not a good fit, then cool. We would just send you some free resources that we think might help you along the way that are not available out to the rest of the public, or we would, maybe even refer you out to someone that we know could help you out. We're like, yeah, I don't think you'd be a good fit for this, dude, but I know somebody, right? Might be a good fit for this, and connect you with somebody else that might be a better fit for you. So all I want to do is help you out. This is what I'm called to do. These are the people I'm called to serve, people who really want to get out of their own way and are tired of living the same old life as everybody else, because I've already done it. And so I want to help you get out. So that being said, I will see you guys on the call. Peace. Stay blessed by the best, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Hey, what's up, guys? After edit Evan here, I wanted to just give more context. If you want to book a call, there is a button under this video that says apply now. Click that button, fill in your information, make it as detailed as possible, and we'll see if it's a fit. And if it is, it'll ask you to book a call. If not, then we might give you some free resources, or whatever the case may be. We're going to help you out either way. So click the button below. It says apply now if you're interested in booking a call with me or one of my team members, and I will chat with you guys soon. All right. Stay blessed by the best. Peace. Bye.